59 times. Well, in the discretion of the secretary, you could do this or you could do this. And so if you're Nancy Pelosi's hairdresser, you don't have to comply with the law. And if you're somebody who's manufacturing guns, why, of course, you've got to comply with more laws than you can possibly imagine. There is no law left. The rule of law has been eviscerated by attorney generals at federal and state level, and that is something that has got to stop. I will stand for the rule of law. I will try and change the situation that each one of you is a criminal. They said just now, people are in court because somewhere out there in the 5,000 pages of statutes and 50,000 pages of regulations, somewhere in section 4057, sub little p, sub 2 little I, sub slash 4, you violated something. And so some agent is going to come and violate you. I am working to put an end to that by simplifying things. It may interest you to know that there's actually a statute in Oregon. There's a statute that says rules shall be simple and clear as possible. And guess what? As far as I know, no court has ever even cited that statute in any one of its written opinions because there's no constituency for simplicity in Oregon except you. Unless the people rise up and demand simplicity, it's not going to come from the government. That's like asking cancer to cure itself. The more complex the laws and regulations are, the more jobs you have to have, with people writing memos to each other and reports and on and on and on. But simplicity is something that everybody wants. Simplicity is something every Oregonian wants, not just Republicans, not just Tea Partiers. Everybody knows that we're drowning in a giant mass of red tape, and one of my highest priorities is to deal with that. Now, the next thing I would like to talk about is accountability. That is perhaps a corollary of these things, and it is perhaps one of the most serious problems. We know from watching the federal government that criminal elements are now essentially in control of the federal government. We know that we have these people in Wall Street who go out and make a bunch of bets in international casinos in transactions that would be illegal in every state, and when they win, they stick it in their pocket, and when they lose, they charge it to us. And we have the politicians just, oh yes, that's just fine. The people may be against it 100 to 1, but just put it on the nation's charge card. We can all afford it, and we can't afford it. And then it's gotten to the point now where these leaders are just outright thieves. You know, think of Senator Corzine, $1.6 billion in customer funds looted from segregated accounts. We can't find him anything to prosecute him for. I mean, that email where it says JC said to move the money, we don't really know what that means, and on and on and on. We are in a situation where everyone is losing faith in the government because the government is not holding anyone accountable. And it's not, of course, just on the federal level with Attorney General Holder, who, of course, is a spectacular example of what we don't need, but it's in this state, too. We know from experience that no matter what one of our Democrat leaders does, whether it's underage boys or underage girls or whatever he's doing, no one is ever held accountable. Now, there's a clear choice in this election. I will seek to impose accountability. I'm out here because I don't have any puppets controlling me. I don't have anybody funding me from above to cover things up. But my opponent is a very different creature. Some of you may have heard the story of the woman who said she's 25 years old. The one thing she's good at is fraud. She sends in a tax return that says, hey, I made $3.1 million last year, and I'm entitled to a $2 million refund. And the fools at the Oregon Department of Revenue hand her a card with $2 million on it. And the only reason they catch her is because she's dumb enough to lose it twice, and somebody outside the government says this doesn't make any sense. And then the Department of Revenue commences an investigation and issues a report here, and the answer is, oh, nothing to see here, move along, we've got it all under control. So the Oregonian goes in and says, we'd like to know what happened, and we'd like to know who did it. And 2 days ago, my opponent said, it's not in the public interest for you to know what happened or who did it. We'll take care of it, don't worry. Another aspect of my opponent's mindset, the liberal mindset, is all about protecting the criminal. As times get tougher and tougher in this state, we are going to have more crime problems, and we need people who will stand behind holding criminals accountable. My opponent is infamous among the prosecutors of the state for turning loose a man who was convicted of 21 counts of rape, sodomy, and forcible sexual abuse. Where did it happen? In a nursing home with old ladies who had Alzheimer's. Why did the judge turn them loose? Why did my opponent turn this person loose? It wasn't enough evidence that he was circumstantially there, that the women were behaving differently around him, that he confessed to it more than once, and that he made phone calls from the jail admitting it to his own mother and aunt. No, turn him loose. We have to get away from this liberal mindset that is threatening us all. We are threatened on every level. We are threatened financially. We are threatened in the land around us with fires. We are threatened in our schools, but we can fight back. We are making progress, and we are making great progress. We can win, and we will win, because you and your friends are spreading the word about what we have to do. So I ask you to spread the word about decentralizing things, simplifying them, and holding public officials accountable. It's a simple theme toward better government that everyone can understand, because this is serious, folks. You know, I like to talk about freedom and prosperity.